Victory Monday just hits different after a game like that. And if you're a 49ers fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That wasn't just a win. That was one of those games you remember. The kind where your heart rate is up the entire night, your voice is gone by the fourth quarter, and you wake up the next morning still replaying key moments in your head. That was a heavyweight fight from start to finish, and full respect to Chicago, because they brought everything they had. This was not a fluky win. This was two teams trading punches on a national stage, and the 49ers stood tall when it mattered most. What makes this win even more impressive is the context around it. The Niners are dealing with a brutal stretch of football. 2 straight short weeks, and by the time they line up again, it'll be their third game in just 13 days. That's not normal. That's the kind of schedule that tests your depth, your conditioning, and your coaching. And this is where Kyle Shanahan deserves real credit. Late practices, letting guys sleep in, prioritizing recovery instead of grinding them into the ground. That's not being soft, that's being smart. This team isn't just trying to survive the regular season, they're clearly being prepared for what comes next. Now be honest with me for a second. Did that game feel like a playoff game to you? Because it sure felt like one to me. The urgency, the back-and-forth scoring, the pressure in the fourth quarter. Those are the exact types of games that harden a team. You don't learn anything from blowing someone out by 30. You learn who you are when things get uncomfortable, and the 49ers learned a lot about themselves on that field. This also needs to be said loud and clear. There is no such thing as an easy game in this league. I don't care what the preseason schedule rankings said. Teams evolve. Young quarterbacks get better. Coaches adjust. Chicago did not play like a bad team, and the Niners still found a way to win. That matters. Wins like this build belief, not just for fans, but inside that locker room. Quick question for you, and I really want to see your answer in the comments. Where does this game rank for you among all the games this season? Is this your game of the year so far? Yes or no? Drop it below and let's see where everyone stands. And if you've been enjoying this kind of real daily 49ers talk, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We're pushing toward 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps get us there. Hit the like button too, because it tells YouTube that Niners fans run this space. Because now that the emotion of the win is set, we've got to talk about the biggest reason this team keeps winning in moments like this, and that starts with the quarterback and the way he completely flipped the script once again. Now let's talk about the guy who keeps changing the conversation every single week. Because at this point, it's not a storyline anymore. It's reality. Brock Purdy is playing some of the best football in the entire league, and what we're watching right now is a quarterback who doesn't just manage games, he takes them over. 10 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Let that sink in for a second. 5 touchdowns, then 5 more. That's not system stuff. That's not getting carried. That's a quarterback who is fully in control. And it didn't start clean. That's the part people love to ignore. The early pick 6 had everyone holding their breath. You could feel the tension immediately. Social media was loud. The doubts started creeping in again. But what happened next is exactly why Brock Purdy is different. He didn't unravel. He didn't speed up. He didn't play scared. He settled in, trusted his reads, trusted his legs, and absolutely went berserk. That response tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. The mobility is what really separates him right now. This isn't just escaping pressure. This is controlled chaos. He's sliding, resetting, keeping his eyes downfield, and punishing defenses that overcommit. That touchdown throw on the move was ridiculous. The run where he shook defenders out of their cleats and finished it himself? That's confidence. That's a quarterback who knows exactly what he can get away with. And it's no coincidence that Kyle Shanahan once described his ideal quarterback as a blend of Drew Brees' processing with just enough Lamar Jackson mobility. That's what you're seeing right now. A quarterback who beats you with his brain and his legs. Since coming back healthy, this version of Purdy has been locked in. Even in games where things didn't start perfectly earlier in the season, he stayed the course and finished strong. That's growth. That's maturity. And in prime time, under the brightest lights, he didn't shrink. He elevated. That matters when you start talking about January football. So let me ask you straight up, and be honest with yourself. Is this the best Brock Purdy has ever looked in a 49ers uniform? I want your answer in the comments because this version feels different. And if you had to compare him to someone, who does he remind you of most right now? If you're enjoying this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps push this channel closer to that 1,000 subscriber goal, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. We're locked in all season long. Because as good as Brock Purdy was, this game wasn't won by one player alone. It was won by guys stepping up all over the field, including some names that don't always get the spotlight. One of the biggest reasons this team feels so dangerous right now is because it's never just one guy. When defenses try to take something away, someone else steps forward, and this game was a perfect example of that. Let's start with Jauan Jennings, because what he's doing quietly deserves way more respect. 5 straight games with a touchdown catch. No 49ers receiver has done that since Vernon Davis. Back in 2013. That's not just a random streak. That's consistency. That's reliability. And that's a guy who shows up when the moment matters most. Jennings is built for this type of football. He's physical. He gets under defenders' skin. And the tougher the game gets, the more comfortable he looks. Third downs, red zone, late game situations, he's always in the middle of it. 9 touchdowns on the season, a career high, and hitting contract incentives along the way. You can feel how locked in he is. Every team needs a player like that, and the 49ers have one who thrives when the pressure is on. Then there's Ricky Pearsall, and I don't think people fully appreciate how important he could be to this offense. The route running is smooth, the separation is real, and the confidence is obvious. Early in the game, he takes a hit, comes up limping, and for a second you're thinking, here we go again. But he comes back, makes big plays, and stays involved. That toughness matters. Defenses can't. Just load up on one side of the field when he's out there, and that opens everything up for everyone else. The tight end depth deserves real credit too. When George Kittle hasn't been able to go, there hasn't been panic. Other guys have stepped in and done their jobs. That's a massive difference from past seasons, where one injury could completely change the identity of the offense. Now, it feels stable. It feels prepared. That's not an accident. That's roster construction paying off. So, let me throw this one to you. Who was the biggest unsung hero in this win? Was it Jennings? Was it Pearsall? Or was it someone else entirely? Drop your answer in the comments, because this team is full of guys earning respect. If you're liking the way this offense is trending, make sure you're subscribed and you've liked the video. We're getting closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and daily 49ers conversations like this don't happen without you. Because as explosive as the offense was, this game still came down to stops, field position, and making plays when everything was on the line. And that's where the rest of this win was truly decided. This is one of those games where the box score doesn't tell the full story, especially on defense. Was it perfect? No. Was it stressful? Absolutely. But when the game was on the line, the 49ers found a way to get stops. And in this league, that's what matters most. Late in games, red zone football and situational awareness decide outcomes. And that's exactly where this team delivered. That hook and ladder play near the end had every fan holding their breath. One missed tackle, and it's chaos. But Diamador Lenoir comes flying in and makes a saving stop that might not show up as a highlight on its own, but completely changes the game. Chase Lucas stepping up, defenders finishing plays, forcing field goals instead of touchdowns. That's winning football. You don't have to dominate every snap. You just have to dominate the moments that decide games. And we have to talk about special teams because this win doesn't happen without it. Thomas Morstead was massive. Those punts weren't just kicks. They were momentum swings. Pinning Chicago deep late in the fourth quarter flipped the field and forced them to take the long way down. That matters when both offenses are trading blows and every yard counts. Field position becomes everything, and Morstead delivered when the pressure was highest. Now, yes, the pass rush is still the big question mark. The quarterbacks are getting time, and that puts stress on the secondary. But even with that, the defense didn't fold. They bent, they absorbed the pressure, and when they had to, they stood firm. That's something you can build on heading into the playoffs. So let me ask you this. When it's late in the game and everything's on the line, do you trust this defense to get the job done? Yes or no? I want your honest answer in the comments. If you appreciate the little things that win games, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and this channel exists for fans who actually understand how wins are earned. Because now it's time to turn the page. Injuries, Seattle, and the bigger picture are staring this team right in the face. And that's where the conversation really gets interesting. Now this is where everything starts to feel very real. Because the win was great, but what comes next is what defines seasons. The injuries are the first thing everyone's watching. Trent Williams, George Kittle, and a few other key names are all question marks. And right now, there aren't clear answers. That's just the reality of this league. Hamstrings, short weeks, wear and tear. You don't rush those things. The good news is this team has shown it can survive and function even when it's not at full strength. And that matters heading into a matchup like Seattle. And make no mistake about it, Seattle is no joke. This is a division game with everything on the line. Records don't matter. Momentum only goes so far. These games are physical, emotional, and usually come down to execution late. The 49ers know this team well, and Seattle knows them just as well. That familiarity raises the intensity even more. This is the kind of game that tells you exactly who's ready for a deep run and who isn't. What makes this season feel different, though, is the bigger picture. The NFC doesn't feel untouchable. There's no unbeatable juggernaut looming over everyone. Home field advantage is right there. The path runs through familiar territory, and this roster understands how rare these opportunities are. Windows don't stay open forever. Careers change fast. Coaches move. Contracts expire. You can feel that urgency with this group. They're playing like a team that knows tomorrow isn't promised. And that's why this moment matters so much. If you take care of business, you're not traveling. You're not packing bags. You're defending your home. That's the dream scenario, and it's right in front of them. That belief isn't just fan optimism anymore. It's grounded in what we're seeing on the field every week. So I'll ask you this to close it out. Do you believe this is the best chance this team has had to win it all in years? And what's the one thing that worries you most heading into this next game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear where your head's at. If you've made it this far, make sure you're subscribed. Help us push past that 1,000 subscriber goal And hit the like button if you're riding with this team all the way. We're locked in together for this run.